What's up, you guys? My name is Carson Rouse on BusinessBuzz, where we focus on business, entrepreneurship, and investing. In today's video, I'm going to be going through some awesome high-paying jobs that you can get right out of high school. First of all, let's talk about the elephant in the room here, which is this brand new set. I got these cold tiles to put behind me, I got a new desk, a new Blue Yeti microphone, and a brand new lighting system.
No one cares.
There's a few things I'd like to tweak and change and add, and if you guys have any ideas, I'd really appreciate it, but hopefully you like it because this is how it's going to look for a long time coming. Anyway, let's get straight into it. So, going to college nowadays is safe to say it's pretty commonplace. In fact, about 70% of high school graduates immediately enroll in college after graduation. These numbers have been rising like crazy for the past couple decades, and it makes sense. Going to college can be the best option for a lot of people. I'd even say the majority of people to reach your goals and maximize your potential. I mean, hey, you can't ignore the statistics. People who have graduated college, on average, make about twice as much per year as somebody who just graduated high school. That's pretty substantial. However, with college tuition nowadays hovering between 20 to 50 grand a year for most people, and about 40% of undergraduates dropping out of college before they even earn their degree, it's really no wonder why there's a lot of people nowadays who want to look at other options other than just college, because you can still get some decent jobs and some other certifications right out of high school that can still build a great career for you. For the job ideas I'll be giving you today, you don't need any college degrees or any work experience. I know it sounds too good to be true, but these jobs also pay a pretty decent amount for something that's right out of high school and something that you could really build a career out of. All I ask before I get into number one is for a big fat like on this video for the new set. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much. It helps out my channel big. Number one, the Postal Service. So working for the Postal Service might get kind of a bad reputation, but they actually make more than you'd think and some fantastic benefits to go along with it. Most entry jobs in the Postal Service will start out paying you around $18 an hour. And there is absolutely no college experience required. Even in my area of Northeast Ohio, where the cost of living and the salaries here are really low, there are some Postal Service workers making more than 60 grand a year, some of them even more than that. And obviously the amount that you make can vary widely depending on where you live. There's such a long list of amazing benefits that you can get at working at the post office. But some of them include very generous sick and vacation leave. Also, you're going to be covered for a plethora of different insurances. And they're very known for giving extra compensation for working overtime and doing night shifts. In fact, if you've been working for the post office for over 15 years, you get 26 days of sick leave and vacation time a year. That's basically a whole month of vacation time after you've been working there long enough. Government jobs may not pay the most money, but they do come with some fantastic benefits. And in this case, when you're fresh out of high school, $18 is a pretty good amount of money. The main requirements to get into the Postal Service are: 1, having your high school diploma, number 2, passing the postal exam, and number 3 is passing a personality exam. Now, it is my understanding that the postal exam is harder than you'd think. In fact, 4 out of 5 first-time postal exam test takers fail. So if you want to pass this thing, then you've got to work hard. I'm saying buy books on Amazon, study guides, watch videos on YouTube, and just really put your head into it and try to learn as much as you can as possible so you can have a higher chance of succeeding. But you can take the exam more than once. Also, the application process for getting into the Postal Service can be a bit long, and they don't accept just anyone. They are a little selective, and that's the hardest part of the Postal Service, is just getting in. But once you're in, that's your golden ticket, man.
I want my golden ticket.
They pay well, they have great benefits, and there is plenty of room for upward mobility. But now I will say, even though the Postal Service is relatively easy to get into and only requires a high school diploma, and it pays really well for such a lack of experience, But there is one problem here, and that is that postal service workers of really any job, whether you're a mail carrier or you work in the handling facilities, anything like that, they have some of the lowest job satisfaction rates of any job out there. In fact, if you've ever heard of the term going postal, that's because a couple decades ago there were a handful of post office workers who just kind of went off the rails. They just went crazy and started committing these violent acts, and nobody really knows exactly why. One of the many theories as to why the Postal Service has such a low job satisfaction rate and some people go postal or whatever is because you never really get a sense of completion, and you never really get that sense of satisfaction like you do in most blue-collar jobs. For example, if you work in construction, then whether it takes a couple days or a couple weeks, you finally get the sense of, yes, we finally built this place. But mail is a never-ending, non-stop flow. Like, it's never going to stop. You're never going to get that sense of completion. So if you're somebody who you don't think you could handle that, if you need that end of the day sense of like, oh man, I really completed something today. Not that you're not completing something at the post office. It's just, it's not as apparent because it never, ever stops. Number 2, an office clerk. So an office clerk, otherwise known as a service coordinator or in some cases a bookkeeper, it can be a pretty mundane job. I'm not going to lie to you about that. But if you really want to work a white-collar job without any experience or education behind it, this is easily one of the easiest business jobs to get into. I can't really tell you a good range of what you're going to make as an office clerk, but usually you'll start out making anywhere from $11 to $20 an hour. Again, depending on the company that you're with and your experience and of course your location. Now, of course, being an office clerk, the type of benefits you're going to get all depend on which company you're working for and how long you've been there. But, you're most likely going to get a little vacation time, you're going to get health insurance, and you're going to get some 401k. So office clerks perform really a ton of essential daily tasks like sorting mail, taking calls, directing calls, and making copies, all sorts of things that need to be done in an office that, the managers, they just don't want anything to do with. And of course, to become an office clerk, all that's usually required is a high school diploma and some on-the-job training. And of course, it's pretty standard that you should know how to use a computer and navigate different softwares pretty well. Some companies might even want you, or you could just go out and do this on your own, to go get some Microsoft certifications under your belt. That'll really make you stand out in your resumes, and you could end up getting a much higher paying office clerk job because they know for sure you'll know what you're doing on that computer, learning things like Word and Excel. Also, being able to collaborate with others and communicate well with others might just be the most important skill to have in this job. I'm not saying you got to be the biggest extrovert in the world, but if you just hate talking to people and passing on information, this definitely isn't the job for you. Now, overall job satisfaction rates as an office clerk, it was kind of hard to find a straight answer. I had some sources telling me that it was a very low satisfactory position to have, and others saying that it was an average job satisfaction rating. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Overall, being an office clerk is kind of a safe job choice, but if you're a big dreamer and you want to advance quickly in a company and move up the ranks, this probably isn't the best one for you. But if not, there's no shame in it whatsoever. And the fact is that if you want, you could just have a job like this for a couple of years, and it would honestly probably look pretty good on a resume. But again, if you like doing this type of work, there's absolutely nothing wrong with making a career out of it. You can get pay raises, and you can start making good money and form good relationships with the people you're working with. Finally, number 3, a police dispatcher. Yep, it's another job paid for by the government. So if you've ever been pulled over by the police or had your tags run or anything like that, I can almost guarantee you that that police officer was communicating with a police dispatcher. The national average pay rate for police dispatchers is usually between $19 and $20 an hour, which is pretty good, but again, this can fluctuate depending on where you live. Expect some great benefits too, with extensive insurance coverage, some good vacation time, and flexible spending accounts which can reduce your taxes. Police dispatchers have a lot of duties to perform, honestly. They monitor on-duty cops and they communicate through police radio to basically assist the police in any way possible. They also often have to work double duty as a 911 operator, taking calls for emergency situations and trying to get coherently what's wrong, what's the emergency, and what type of services are needed to fix the problem. Obviously, this job can be a bit stressful for that reason. But again, though, it's not too hard to get into. All you need is a high school diploma, and in most cases, you're going to have to pass a civil service exam, and they might even perform some psychological test on you just to make sure you're well suited for the job and you're not going to go off the rails. Having great communication skills and speaking coherently is also a must. And also with the adoption of computer dispatch machines, you're going to have to be well versed again in how to use a computer and how to use these different services after you're on the job training. But again, it's the 21st century. Most of us know the basics of how to use a computer. So I'm not going to lie to you, police dispatchers and 911 operators, they tend to burn out very quickly and get very stressed out, and many of them quit after a couple of years because they just can't handle it anymore. But some career-long police dispatchers, they really find meaning in their work and they enjoy what they do and they don't get too bogged down by it. So it really all depends on how well you think that you can manage a large amount of stress and if you can still enjoy what you're doing at work. I, for example, would probably not do well with a job like that, but you just might. Also, the job outlook growth for the next 10 years is about 6%, which is slightly above average, so it shouldn't be too hard to get a job and keep a job in this space. Overall, this could be a great career working for the police department, making decent money, and without, putting your life at risk and getting your hands too dirty. So yeah, guys, there is plenty of more jobs out there that can pay well straight out of high school. So if you want me to make a part 2 or anything like that, make sure to comment it down below. I really hope you took something of value. If you took anything of value and you haven't subscribed to Business Buzz yet, well, make sure you do, because the new videos are going to be in this set with Jabba the Hutt. We love Java. So anyway, you guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next Business Buzz video.